Now, what I want to talk about is best examples in the coalface that I like to use or have used in the past. And I suppose the best example that's real life is the use of velocity. Okay, so obviously traveling a lot means you're on different time zones. You've got a 6'8" athlete crammed up in a tiny little seat in a plane, traveling 24 hours, and you got to get ready for a test match. And all of a sudden, your sleep wake cycle is turned on its head. And instead of lifting in the gym at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. in the morning, we're now lifting in the gym at 7 p.m. at night. Okay. We've also traveled a day and a half, and because of that, we've had a really light 3 or 4 days of training. So if you can just think about that scenario, we go to the gym as a group on the Monday, let's say. How do you think that athlete's going to lift on a Monday if they've had 3 or 4 days off? They have been crammed up in a seat, and we're now lifting it in the evening versus the morning because of the internal circadian rhythm. How do you think they'd lift? It's a bit of a trick question, to be fair, but any thoughts?
I think well, firstly, it depends obviously a lot on the context, but given that context, it could either be someone neurally could be a lot more rested than they normally are, in which case they could be firing and the neural system could be a lot more pumped, not so much neural fatigue, but also it depends then maybe how they warm up or what other, or if they're firing mentally and how ready to go. Because if they're not really in the zone yet or anything, if the sleep's been bad, then it might be the opposite effect. But it depends on, like, I guess how they prepare is what I would say.
Beautiful, Hubert. It's a good answer because you're right. You're saying it depends on lots of things. So the first thing we'll deal with is typically the athletes are ready to go because they've had some time off, which they don't get very often. So neurally well rested. The fact that we lift or perform better physically in the evening versus the morning because our body temperature is warmer also means that physiologically we're more ready. So the body is ready to go. It's fresh and it's in the evening versus the morning. So we've got two things in our favor. The thing against us is the travel fatigue, which is the time zone shift and maybe the fact that you haven't got much good sleep. Now we know through all the research that sleep doesn't actually impact on your ability to put out work. Okay, so the military have shown this. You can perform physically for a day or two without sleep. The brain not so much, but physically you can still put out what you need to. So what you tend to get is following long haul travel, often athletes will perform out of their skin if allowed to. Okay. So this is the best example of auto regulation that I think helps produce a good outcome. So I'll just give you an example. So we've got a group of athletes that they've gone through this travel. They go to the gym neurally, they're ready to go. They're prescribed the session we've been talking about, 5 by 85%, 3 sets, squat, big lifts. All of a sudden, the athletes are cranking through this lift, okay, wanting to push the boat out a bit because all of a sudden they're feeling great. They've warmed up. They put a bit of extra weight on the bar. So actually, whilst we'd prescribe 5 by 150, they're actually lifting 5 by 165, best lifting they've done for 2 or 3 weeks, 4 weeks, feeling amazing, confident, walk out of the session. How good, how good. So the internal load for that session is all of a sudden a spike, isn't it? Okay. So we've just created this additional stress that maybe we hadn't planned on, but they're feeling really good. So why not? So, and this is a real life example. I've done this, right? Where we've had guys lifting PBs on a Monday after a big trip. And so then what happens is you're on this jet lag journey where, okay, now we've got to try and adjust to the time zone. And it takes 3 or 4 days, right? A couple of hours a day adjustment. So all of a sudden, that athlete that's just hit some massive numbers has a big internal stress going on because we've lifted better than we've lifted before or for a while. Now not getting sleep for 3 or 4 days. Okay. So, hey, we let them push the boat out. That why not? But now we're not sleeping for 4 days. So, what do you think the athlete's body's going to be like on about Thursday or Friday having pushed the boat out big time Monday because they could and felt great, but now having not slept.
They're gonna be fried. Like their nervous system, I think, would be fried.
You've basically created this massive spike in internal load. You've then created this really poor recovery environment where no one's sleeping. And so you bang on, come Thursday, Friday, you've got a group of athletes that are physically nowhere near performing. Okay. So done this many a times, big mistakes, lots of learnings. But we all know, everyone on this call, how hard is it to tell an athlete to lift less if they're feeling good, right? It's like, man, lift less. What are you? I feel amazing, man. Get a quick Gilly's turned his back, chuck some more weight on, right? What we're dealing with, because when you feel good, you feel good. When you feel good, you want to see what you can do. And so this is where I think the best example that I can give you of auto-regulation comes into play. If you set a parameter, so percentages are good, right? Percentages are good because you can set that parameter and hey, you're not lifting more than 85% today. Okay, that's fine. But only in this instance because it's setting a cap. In any other given week, setting a cap might not be great because you may be feeling really bad or you may be feeling really good. So either way, you're going to be either doing too much or not enough. The best way to try and control those athletes and keep them to a position where they're still getting an amazing stimulus, but that might not be cooking them for later in the week, is velocity prescription. So I'm sure Hubert, you'll have all sorts of toys over in Paris at Inset. You guys will be doing heaps of this stuff. But velocity prescription's a great way of, I suppose, allowing the body to adjust the load that's been lifted without compromising the stimulus, and if anything, creating a new stimulus, which would be power. So the same example, we get off a plane, we're feeling amazing. These athletes are feeling good. We're not wanting to put them into a hole or not wanting them to put themselves in a hole. So prescribing a speed is probably the way that the body can actually 100% gym aware, Hubert. So gym aware is what we'd use, or output. Output's an accelerometer that we put on a bar. Output's great because you can have them set up all over the place and no one needs to do anything. They're just numbers just spat up on a screen. It's really cool. So from a training environment, output's amazing. But you'd set a speed. And so we'd say, okay, guys, we're hitting 8.8 meters a second today. Okay. And you adjust the load to be hitting that speed. Okay. So now what happens, this athlete that was going to lift some heavy weight is now going, okay, well, I can only move 140 kilos at that speed. Okay, so I'm actually going to just be building up, see how I feel at that speed. Okay, there's my weight, and then I do my 3 sets. And so what we get is all of a sudden we get in similar loads. If we set the number right, we get in similar loads that we would have got back home before we had all this time off. But we are moving it with an intent or with a speed that is our cap, that is our target. And so all of a sudden we're moving it quicker than we would have back home. We're getting probably more of again, it depends on the speed we set. We're getting more of a power stimulus because it's all about moving our load quicker or not too slow, probably more the case. And we're not allowing athletes to push the boat out. So that is the body going, okay, what load today can I move at that speed? That is the body dictating and regulating the load that can be lifted at that speed. And so we're ensuring training quality exists without pushing people internally over the edge. I think the internal versus external is what we need to keep coming back to. Like a good example, Hubert, you talked about it depends on how the athlete warms up. Like how true is that? And we've all been there, we've all felt it and experienced it, but whether you're running or cycling or lifting, you can start a session and feel absolutely miserable. You can feel tired, you can feel pain in the muscle, you can feel unmotivated. And then if you give your body time, 20 minutes time, you need to check in again to see how you're feeling internally. Because in 20 minutes time, you can be feeling like a rock star or pretty good. Definitely way better than you were feeling 20 minutes ago. And I think that, again, this is the body going through its checklist. It's getting blood flowing. Okay, cool. We'll get rid of some waste product. Okay, getting a bit warmer. Hormones start increasing. Glycogen starts getting spread around the body. Muscles start moving within the myofascia, and we start feeling like, oh, okay. Then we make the decision on how our body's going internally, and I think that that it's a phrase that everyone still uses, but warming up is actually a thing. The body is warming up just like a car. Like, yeah, you always talk to people about warming up, and it's like waste of time. Same as warming down, waste of time. But if you think about it like a car, high performance car, no high performance car performs amazingly as soon as you put the foot down, as soon as you've started up the engine. Be no different. So I think two messages I've got, I suppose, before I go into something else, is the internal load is physiological but psychological. Okay, so how hard was that session is actually a little bit of psychology in that. How are you feeling? There's psychology in there. Because some athletes will go, I'm always 10 out of 10. Because if I tell myself I'm not, I won't be. And some athletes will be really reflective and go, well, I'm not feeling great, so I'm probably a 2. And why am I a 2? I shouldn't be a 2. Like, okay, what's going on? I really need to take it easy. I might be getting sick. So the psychology of RPE is tricky because every athlete will take on that internal reflection differently. So be careful. Physiology doesn't lie. Okay, so heart rate, how a person's moving a bar, what speed or load doesn't lie. Like if someone's got a weight on their back and it's looking way harder than it should, or way harder than it did last week, physiology doesn't lie, whereas the brain can play tricks. So when we're talking internal load, I think the key thing is to look at the physiology of the output. Okay, so how is the body doing what you're asking it to do? Is heart rate high? Is effort or stress required to do something higher than you'd expect or the athlete would expect? That doesn't lie, it's factual. Okay, so that's the first thing, internal load. The external load, be flexible with what that might be because the body is everything's not a linear relationship. We can't just keep going up in a straight line. We're going to have peaks and troughs and wobbles all along the way, but the end goal should be better than the start, higher than the start. And that's the key. How we get there, everyone will take a different journey. And then once we understand that and start reflecting on athletes, understand themselves, coaching them, then auto-regulation becomes something that we work with, not against. We use to help us get a better outcome without getting sick or hurt. Like if you think about auto-regulation, it is about the body going, whoa back, it's been a big 2 weeks. I can't lift that today. That's okay, because in a week's time, you'll probably be able to lift it with ease. Don't fight it, use it, understand it. Hey, this is feeling way harder than it should. I must be carrying a bit of neural load. I must be carrying a little bit of fatigue. That's okay. I'll just listen to my body a little bit and I'll just take 5 kilos off and I'll bank it knowing that in a week's time, I'm going to be better for it.